It's really amazing. So we had. Preparing. So I'm gonna end up putting mine just in the journal over first. I mean, I'm such a. Like. So it's three-dimensional work and it's two-dimensional work. That are architectural, something designed that has what shingles. So what's the best? Can you hear us?
We went to. Just.
Can you hear us?
Oh. In a whole.
Hey guys, can y'all hear me?
Put that on the phone song.
All his stuff, which was actually all.
Okay, try again for me.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
Never, whatever's easiest for you all.
I bring crazy little kids.
Yeah, you should.
Do you used to go? You have anything going on today?
Not, yeah, I mean, we can, but it's gonna be Wiki's first, right? So, yeah. So they don't have to come in.
Stacy one?
Stacy on there. No. Yes, her video's not on.
Okay, there
she's on.
Okay. Okay, I think we're ready to get started. Alex, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you all right. Can y'all see me? I'm sorry. I'm kind of driving right now. I had to help take kids to summer camp that of course started at 9. So that's how it always goes. But okay. Well, yeah. At this time, let's bring the meeting to order. Who do we have in person there? I see Stacy online, but do we have some other board members in person?
Can you turn the camera on? We have Andrew, Hannah, and Susan are all here in person. Can you see all of us?
I cannot see y'all on my side. Stacy, can you see them?
Oh, no.
Okay, if you'll give us just a second, we're gonna try to get the camera view switched.
Oh, yeah, I can see something now.
It's
It's like on the floor.
It's on. The angle's just a little.
Where is that camera?
Andrew, I can see up your nose.
Well maintained.
If we can pull it back just a bit.
Turn it this way.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Oh, that's just Katie. Turn it that way a little bit. Okay, I think we're ready to get started.
Okay. At this time, I'll bring the meeting to order.
Your hair's gonna be second.
Do we have all the board members had an opportunity to review the directed decision violation warning, violation letters and active status letters?
Yes.
We have a motion on those items.
I'll make a motion to approve the director's decisions, violation resume, warning letters, and active status letters.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Katie, do you want to move forward with our first hearing today?
Sure, we can do that. The first hearing that we're gonna review today is Squeaky's Liquor. This was an appeal of a director's decision.
Unofficial director.
Oh, I'm sorry, a city official objected to this one, so we have the applicant here to talk.
You can take. and-
Okay.
Are there any other witnesses in the audience that will be here to talk about Squeaky's? Okay. I'll turn it over to Mr. Langley.
Thank you, Kristen. I'm good with microphones. Good morning. My name is Michael Langley, and I'm an attorney, and I'm representing Dar Patel and her application for Squeaky's Liquor. I want to give you all a little bit of a background on it, and then see which way y'all want to go. Ms. Patel obtained this permit last year. She filled out a relocation into Highfield, and they got about 3/4 of the way into the time limit, and the developer backed out and just left them hanging. I have for y'all, give it to you to hand out.
So let's get it. But here's what. When
I
my,
think there are 10 copies, so there should be.
so, well, the people online.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I'm gonna run and scan one of these to.
Okay. Alex and Stacy, we're gonna have this scanned in and emailed to you so that you can pull it up and review it. Mr. Langley, before you get too far, is your witness gonna be testifying? Do we need to have her sworn in?
Yeah, we just in case. I don't think she'll need to testify, but yeah, that's certainly a good idea.
Ms. Patel, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Right.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
May I proceed?
If you'll give me just a minute.
Sure.
Okay, you proceed.
Thank you. While the title of the rule is confusing at times, this deals with permits that are on inactive status. And a permit that's on inactive status essentially has 12 months to find a new location. There are rules and regulations regarding how you can maintain an active status if you need to. When we found out that the developer backed out on this building, I contacted the ABC and tried to find a way, if we had a way forward at all. My clients have made a $45,000 investment in this project so far and really don't want to lose their investment. And the thing that we came up with was to apply for a different location. The developer did assist them in finding a new location, but the location is not intended to be moved to and operate as full-time going forward. The idea behind the store is to fall within the ABC guidelines for inactive status. So if they have somewhere to go that they can open up pursuant to the rules for one day for 8 hours with literally a case of wine, and then close, and then they have a year and some control to find an appropriate space. The objection by the city was, number one, you have to find a location that is, you have to get a conditional use permit. Well, that's common in that's a normal condition of everything. This is a previous liquor store where they're going to, and that liquor store built a building directly out in front of it. Their other objection was, and I don't call it, it was a comment. They actually on the sheet did not circle the yes or no, but they were worried about the too many liquor stores in one place. My client does not wish to have that liquor store be open, be competing. They wish to go to another part of the county where it can work, but we need to work to try to protect this investment and not lose um, uh, pursuant and not lose out on that and do it pursuant to the rules and regulations. And so that's what we've tried to do. And we would just ask that you grant this to us based on our explanation. My client is here. She can add additional testimony if you need it to confirm what I've told you. They are members of the community. They have been there for a long time. They do not wish to upset anybody. When they went into this, they chose, actually, they thought they had found another spot, but somebody else opened a liquor store there, and they didn't want to try to go build a building and compete with them because they didn't think it was fair. And they're not going to compete with this gentleman at I want to call it the stockyard, but that's not, I think it's the stock tank. And so, but that's our explanation. We would appreciate the approval based on that and allow us to move forward and then get an appropriate place.
Okay, and I believe Drew Cousins, attorney with ABC, has a packet for the board as well to review, and we can have that emailed over to Stacy and Alex now for them to review as well.
Yes, and I'll show you.
While that's being passed out, I have a question procedurally on this. Would we be looking, if we wanted to grant them can y'all hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
Would we be, if it was the board's pleasure of like wanting to work with the permittee on, working this way to give them an opportunity to open for a day and then give them time to find a new location. In order to do that, would we be looking for a motion to basically overturn the director's decision and to grant them this permit? And we could put conditions on it that it's just for, a limited period of time, or just I don't even know if we can do that on a permit.
So I don't think the director actually made a decision on this, so you won't need to overturn the decision. A hearing was automatically activated because the city official objected. I do think that you can make a motion to put certain conditions on it if you like. Y'all can deliberate to discuss that. However, before y'all do go into deliberations, I would ask for a jury just to have a chance to run through the packet that she handed out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was just wanting to burn some time while she was handing that out on how we would proceed on something like this, because it is a little unique.
Can you guys hear me? I don't know if this microphone works very well. So the packet that I gave you is going to have the applicable rule on factors that determine public convenience and advantage. This is what the director considers and the board should consider when issuing a permit or not. I do know that this is kind of a special circumstance in that their goal is just to go back inactive. But this would be kind of the things that you're looking at, and that's what the city officials, when they're looking at this, they're also considering. At the end of this, there is the complete application packet. That application packet includes the objection from the city official. And they did say that they had an objection and listed some concerns that Mr. Langley has touched on, just the special use permit and the proximity to stock tank liquor. That's just some basic info from ABC. The director did not make a decision. Again, this was a hearing triggered by the fact that a public official did object. So it is your guys' decision. And then there's also room for you guys to set conditions on this as well.
But that public official isn't here today to testify.
No, ma'am.
And if you still have to overcome the conditional use permit, how are you gonna come past that? I mean, if we issue this today, and you can't get the conditional use permit from the city, you're still dead in the water right now.
We understand that this is based on the city, and that's a conditional use permit. It's very common in ABC applications that you have to do that. We do that in the city of Little Rock all the time, that you get the relocation because the city won't take it without an approved relocation. And so we do that on a real regular basis for across the state.
You feel like you can get the conditional use if we give you the temporary location.
Yes, because we're gonna explain to them exactly the same thing that we've explained to you here today. We're happy for the conditions to be placed on that, to explain what's going on. And the conditional use, they granted a conditional use to that location before, to that specific location. So for a liquor store, they're gonna be challenged for a reason besides competitive advantage to turn that down. And, but that's for them to determine. I certainly believe it's common to, also, well, two things. One, they can't operate in the city unless the city gives them a permit anyway. So everybody has to go get the city permit. So they have to go through that process. So they couldn't even open without that proof, no matter what decision. I mean, if you made that decision here today. So, that's a separate and second process. Here, it's about, we're just trying to solve a problem. We're not trying to compete. We're happy to have the restrictions that are in Rule 1903 added to us. As I thought about this coming forward, the thing that would matter to me is if they change their mind, oh, well, we have no choice. We have to try to open here. We would have to come back to this agency and tell you, oh, we want to do something different. When we apply to move, we're going to have to come back and tell this agency, we want to do something different. I do believe we overcome that. I do believe we're in the right spot, but this is the process that we take.
And so if we approved this location to operate for one day, that satisfies what you guys need?
Well, it satisfies what the rule is, but to get to the conditional use permit and all of that, what I would ask is that you require us to follow the rule as set forth in 1903, which is once you get permission to open, an agent will have to come in and inspect it, make sure there's telephone, make sure it's ready to open, has to open for 8 hours the next day. What I would ask, I guess, is not give us a specific date, but allow us to follow that. And then within 24 hours of that inspection, we turn around and place it on inactive status.
Yeah, because I don't think we should allow us to operate there. That's what I want to make sure is that.
No, we don't want to.
Something where they're operating in a parking lot of a liquor store, essentially.
We don't want to do that. And we stand by that. Benton County is, if you don't think there's enough liquor stores in Benton County, we're lucky to have one, but y'all just had you just gave out and people didn't want the 9 that were available. They only wanted 3 of them. So you can tell where they are. It's a growing community. They wish to go there. We're happy to accept what you're offered for what you're considering.
What-
Is your client's ultimate goal to have this permitted store in Hyattville or in Siloam or?
Anywhere, it's growing so much, so it would be Hyattville, one of the new areas that's, I don't spend much time up there. I'm based here in Little Rock. And, but I have a lot of family, my wife's family's from Siloam. And so that's not our intent. Those liquor stores are located there because the Walmart's there, right there by it. We would rather go out, be in a new community. It's just like going for a bank. It's rooftops. It's rooftops, and do you have enough people to serve it? We're just trying not to lose a $45,000 investment.
So if we approve this, how do we phrase it?
The main thing is we'll need a cutoff date. So
7 days? I mean, what can your agency get through as far as what they need?
Well, we have to find out from the city first.
mhm.
And so once we get that from the city, we have, if you say 7 days from the date the city, we meet the condition, then it'll do it. There is and then we're stuck in the limitation of, we can't open and we can't, you approve this transfer, just by general rule, you have 12 months. We don't want 12 months, but we want some time to just have this, to get through the process.
So Drew and Katie, would it be appropriate to make a motion to approve, but require them to follow the rules set forth in 1903? Is that sufficient?
May I add to that will follow 1903 and that we will within 7 days not 7 days, within 72 hours of being open, we will have the permit back in the hands of the ABC, which is taking it off the wall. We have to actually turn the physical permit back in
Yeah. I see.
pursuant to the rules. And so that we would do that requesting inactive status, and that would reset us for, and the way that works is it goes on an active status for 3 months. We have to ask for an extension, and then we have to come to y'all to ask for that extension. And you have the right to approve an additional 6 months, and then there's an additional 6 months after that if there's a, or what is it, 3, 3, and 6?
Mhm.
3, 3, and then the last one is emergency, like somebody had a heart attack or the building is 3/4 finished and we had a tornado, something like that. It's not just, if I came in here today, we just hadn't done anything about it, you could jerk the permit. So y'all are in control.
So my question would be, how is 1903 applying here if you don't open first?
What do you mean?
Because 1903 is you've been closed for more than 30 days. So then you're inactive.
Right. So we're inactive, we're in inactive status.
So are you wanting just more inactive status?
We want, so what we want, because we have two problems, or we have a problem. What we want is to be able to have a location that we have some control over, because we don't have any control over the current location, to put it on inactive status, to get the construction started. So what will happen is it'll go on inactive status for a day. They'll go out during the time period they have, find a new place for a location and relocate it. But we've got to put it somewhere so that we have the ability to do that and not lose the $45,000 on cancellation of a permit.
So if approved today, you'll go to the city for a use permit. How long do you expect that to take?
It's looking city, and that'll be another, we'll hire somebody that's an attorney in Northwest Arkansas. But normally those things take 30 to 60 days, but we can't do anything during the 30 to 60 days. So, but we would ask that we would just ask for a conditional approval that the relocation is granted, that's number one. Number two, that the conditions be, number one, that we get the conditional use permit. Number two, that pursuant to 1903, we've opened for a day. We close and within 72 hours, return the permit to ABC.
How much
That
time
makes
does that
more
buy?
sense. Well, I mean, your conditional approval, they can be conditionally approved for a year. So it would give them a year to get a use tax from the city and, then open for a day.
Well, I'm talking about how much time does that buy them? Like, once this is done, and he hands the license back in, how much time does that buy him to get their permanent location?
Potentially a year.
Okay.
Yeah, it gives us a year, and then if for some unknown reason we run into a problem, we would come back and speak to y'all for the same process if we needed it. We have no expectation of needing it. We're just trying to get back in control. Y'all don't have time or the wherewithal for the history of this permit, which is crazy. But we're just trying to get some people taken care of and do it in a way that really makes y'all happy and the city happy. We're not trying to make anybody mad. And again, I think the other thing you could do is add a condition that we make the application to the for the conditional use within 30 days.
I think we just are interested that you're not operating.
No, we won't. We will not.
That's all.
We won't be on.
Which they can't, because
Yeah.
unless,
Right.
which they can't operate without the
We-
additional permit.
We won't be operating.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
certainly, I don't know if Agent Basile's still over there or whomever. He's a great guy and very conscientious, and I know he would come look on a regular basis.
You want to think?
Well, no, so I was just gonna ask Drew and Katie, so going back to my original question, do you think it's sufficient if we simply do a conditional approval pursuant to following the rules?
Yes, so it wouldn't be 1903. The conditional approval would just be like how you approve. permits, so we'd go back to the.
So I think maybe you just include something in there that says they cannot operate for more than 72 hours. Oh, I was gonna say.
Exist, yeah.
Okay. I
There,
will,
there does need to be conditional approval on the permit from the city though.
Yep.
Yes.
And if you want to set a time limit on that, you can on when they apply for it. Otherwise, they'll have.
That doesn't matter.
I cut you off. You have something?
No.
I let them take whatever time they need.
Okay.
I just don't want them operating.
Yeah, I
Sure.
feel like they're acting in good faith.
Yeah.
So,
I think-
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so I'll make a motion then to grant the conditional use permit, right? At this location, but at the time you have the approval to open, you cannot operate for more than 72 hours and you have to shut it back down.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All in, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Sorry, Alex, I
Which
stepped on your
one?
toes there. I don't know if he's there.
Well, yeah,
May
I
have-
left for a second.
Falling off.
Good.
Okay,
All right, great.
That concludes my business to make excuse.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Went to law school here.
Oh, it's Elton?
Yep.
Oh, it's all right.
In his basement, sorry, I was in his basement, jumping up and down with him when we won the national championship.
abstain.
I'll tell them, but I didn't realize that.
Really. And I know him, you're from Jonesboro?
Yeah.
Okay, my dad was an attorney there for 40 years.
Who's your dad?
Stan Langley,
Okay,
Snowgrove Lakeshore Langley,
yeah, okay, great.
that whole group of people. Thank you.
Okay, we have.
We have one more hearing on the agenda for today. This is an appeal of a director's decision. This is Verna's, if I believe they are. Oh, do y'all want to take a recess before or go straight into it?
We can go straight in, right?
Let's stay there.
French. So, it's all, yeah, she also got buddy, really, duck and wait for this. So, yeah. Nice to meet you. Yeah, guess I'm back. I'll do it.
Okay. I believe we have one witness that may not be here. Oh, I'm sorry, she's here. If we could just have one minute, to speak with her real quick.
Yeah, Alex is back.
Yeah, I'm right. Oh, sorry, my phone's exited out. Yeah, so you said we have one witness, but it sounded like you're saying you need to speak with them first before swearing in, or did I hear that wrong?
That's correct, Alex.
Okay, so let me know.
You can stand a quick minute.
Okay, that's fine.
I think they're expanding.
Okay, before we get started, I have Cameron Coker here. He is, he works for ATC. He is a hearing officer though as well. Would the board consider designating him just to, work through this hearing in case there are any objections or any questions that come up?
Have no objection.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, do we need a motion to designate? Okay, could I have a motion to designate him as that hearing officer? And second.
I'll
Yep.
second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Yeah. Start with filtration. Take a recess then if needed.
The time is 9:32 a.m. Today is Wednesday, June 10th. We are here in the suite 119 at 101 East Capitol Avenue in Little Rock. The board has set a hearing today concerning the matter of Verna's. That is permit number 2235901. It is a restaurant mixed drink permit located at 7820 Stagecoach Road, Little Rock. This is an appeal of a director's decision. The hearing was set today as specified in the notice of hearing. My name is Cameron Coker. I am an attorney and I will be serving as the hearing officer for today's hearing. Before we begin, I need to ask you that the respondent is present today, Pierce, and I see that you're represented by your own counsel. Would counsel for the respondent, would you please introduce yourself for the record?
William White.
Mr. White, thank you. And Mr. White, do you confirm that you and your client did receive notice of this hearing today?
We did.
Thank you. So before we get started, get too far into it, if any board member or any participant or party needs recess at any time, just let me know and we can do that. And we have counsel for ABC as well, but we counsel for ABC alcohol beverage control. Please introduce themselves.
Drew Cousins.
And at the outset of this hearing, I'm going to explain a few things for the respondent's benefit, as well as for anyone else who's present who may have not appeared or seen an administrative hearing before. One, the board will base its decision solely on the evidence presented here today. This includes sworn testimony and other evidence which may be admitted. Two, this hearing is held under the Administrative Procedure Act and therefore the strict rules of evidence. For example, the hearsay rule are not strictly applied. This means that I may allow introduction of evidence which may not be allowed in a more formal hearing. I will rule on any objections made by either party, and each objection and ruling will be noted for the record. Everything that we say is also being recorded and will be part of the official record of these proceedings. And for that reason, I ask that anyone who speaks on the record speak clearly and slowly enough that it may be understood. We have our court reporter over here. I just want to make sure that she is able to hear us. And if the court reporter has any trouble hearing at any time, just across the room here, just give me a wave and we'll make sure we get where everybody can hear. If there's anything that respondent has submitted to staff or that the staff has in its possession that you would like the board to consider, it will not be offered into evidence here today, or it will not be considered unless it has not been presented or admitted. And lastly, these proceedings are subject to the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act, and as such, all parts of the hearing, including deliberations of the board, are open to the public. So my understanding is we have Mr. White. Do you have any witnesses that you're are going to call?
Maybe just a permanent holder,
Okay.
Chase.
And Ms. Cousins, how many witnesses do you have?
I have 2 witnesses.
Okay. Are they all here?
Well, actually I have 3 witnesses, sorry. And 2 of the 3 are here currently and the other one is on the way.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and swear in all the witnesses that are present, and when the other witness arrives before they get called, just remind me and we'll have them sworn at that time, okay?
Okay.
So any witnesses who plan on testifying or who may testify in this matter, would you please stand this time and raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, thank you. You may all be seated. Before we begin, Ms. Cousins, are there any preliminary matters that we need to take up?
Yes, if it is okay with opposing counsel, I have an exhibit packet that is probably easiest if we just admit all at once to the board, if he has no objection.
Has Mr. White seen this packet?
No, he has not.
You've seen it before.
Mr. White, I'll give you a minute for,
Yeah, if you don't mind.
all right.
Got no objections. I just wanted to make sure I read it for you.
Thank you, Mr. White. The packet, ABC, exhibit packet will be admitted as ABC Exhibit 1 for identification purposes and may be distributed to board members and published at this time.
It, will have been emailed from Brandy to you guys.
So yes, board members who are with us remotely, apparently it was emailed to you also.
I received it.
Thank you. Ms. Cousins, do you have anything else?
No.
Mr. White, do you have anything that we, preliminary matters that we need to take up?
None of them were.
All right. Would the board like some time to review the admitted exhibits, or would the board like request that we keep going?
I think we're
I'm good to proceed.
Okay. So Ms. Cousins, are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
And Mr. White, are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Cousins, you have the opportunity to make an opening statement if you so choose. Do you wish to make an opening statement at this time?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Board, we're here today on, some violations, that occurred in June of 2025. You're gonna hear more details about this from a couple different witnesses, but generally what we're gonna go over is a patron was at the establishment for many hours, where he consumed many drinks, purchased in different ways. And later, upon leaving the establishment, was in a car accident that 10 days later resulted in the death of this patron. It is against ABC rules to sell to an intoxicated person. It is against Arkansas law to sell to an intoxicated person. It is also a law that permit holders have a privilege permit. And this permit holds them to a higher duty of care to the public and their own patrons and employees. This duty of care is to the public health, safety, and welfare. And again, is heightened because this is a privilege for the state of Arkansas to allow them to sell alcohol. A man lost his life this night, and some of this is going to be tough for these witnesses. We're going to go into a little bit more detail on how this occurred, but I do ask that you remain cognizant of the sensitiveness of the matter. Nothing further.
Mr. White, you also have the opportunity to make an opening statement this time if you so choose. Would you like to make an opening statement?
Yes, sir. This is a tragic event. But I think that the evidence will show that Ernest followed the law, followed regulations.
Mr. White.
I'm sorry, Mr. White, could you, your microphone, you hit the button down there, it'll turn green. There we go.
What I was saying is this is a tragic accident and it's unfortunate someone lost their life. I think the evidence though will show that Vertus followed the law, followed the regulations. Had no way to know that this gentleman had been overserved, had no way to know what this gentleman did after leaving their establishment prior to his accident. And I agree about the sensitivity of the nature. Just proceed from there.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Ms. Cousins, at this time, you may call your first witness.
Agent Latrice Ellis.
Agent Ellis, if you just make sure that your microphone is on. And the record will reflect that Agent Ellis was sworn at the beginning of these proceedings. At this time, Ms. Cousins, you may proceed.
Agent Ellis, can you please state your name and occupation for the record?
Agent Latrice Ellis, law enforcement,
And where do you work?
Arkansas Regulatory Police,
How long have you been with them?
May 2017.
And were you working on this in this capacity when you investigated an incident that occurred at Berna's in June of 2025?
Yes, ma'am.
How was ABC notified of this incident?
There was a complaint called into the office, letting our agency know that there was an accident involved after a patron left the business.
And did you perform your own investigation into the incident at this point?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you find during your investigation?
I arrived at the business with my supervisor, and we went in to speak with the owner, and the owner had knowledge about the accident, but he was unable to provide any type of video footage or anything like that. The evidence that we were looking for.
And did you ask for any documents when you were there?
Yes, ma'am.
What documents were those?
Receipts, any type of transactions that occurred or took place on it.
And did you receive those receipts?
Not immediately, no, ma'am. He was unable to actually pull up the video footage, and he was unable to pull up the receipts accurately. And then there was a bartender that assisted us.
So the bartender was able to print you off that receipt.
Yes, she could pull up some things on the view. He had like an iPad,
Okay.
and you could view some things that were going on in the bar. I'm sorry.
Does this look like the receipt that was given to you?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna hand that to you. And it is already admitted into evidence, but just to make note for the board, that is the second tabbed page in that packet. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you know what time the patron that was involved in this accident, well, first off, do you know his name?
Yes, it's Dylan.
And when Dylan, do you know what time Dylan would have arrived at the bar?
Approximately, well, this states during the hours of 8 p.m. after 8 p.m. around 8:30, but the bartender said around 6.
Okay. So this receipt, what time does it say that it was started, this tab tart started?
8:25 p.m.
And then how many drinks are on this receipt and what type of drinks were they?
It would be a Crown Royal Apple, Bush Light, 1 Jack Daniel, 2 Jack Daniel. So it's Jack Daniels in different transactions. Then another Bush Light, then a third Bush Light, and then thereafter that a 4th Bush Light.
Okay. So approximately 7 drinks on this tab, including beer and spirits.
Yes, ma'am.
And what time was this tab closed out?
1:51 a.m.
You said that you spoke with a bartender who said he had gotten there at 6 o'clock. Do you know if he had been drinking between the hours of 6 and 8:25 when he opened this tab?
Yes, they said he was paying with cash until his cash ran out, and then that's when he started using his card.
Okay. I have no further questions for Agent Ellis.
Mr. White, do you have questions for Agent Ellis?
Had a couple follow-up, excuse me. Said the bartender said that gentleman showed up at 6 o'clock, correct?
Yes, sir.
About 6 o'clock, and that he had drink, or was drinking prior to between the 6 o'clock and the 8:30, 8:25 PM. Hour where he first order showed up on the bar tab receipt, correct?
Yes.
So do we know how many drinks that he had between 6 and 8:25?
4 beers and an Irish drink containing 5 different liquors.
How do we know that?
From the bartender.
There was no cash receipts,
No, sir.
Irish drink with 5 liquors. Okay, so then from 8:25 PM to 1:51 AM, which I think is what, about 6 hours?
Yes, sir.
There were 7 drinks purchased in that
Yes.
time frame. 4 of the 7 being beers of some type.
Yes.
Do we have any cash receipts for the transactions on the drinking before 8:25 PM?
No, sir. But prior to giving this receipt or even us looking at it, the owner had already told me how many drinks that Dylan had consumed. Like he knew it from memory or something.
And what did the owner tell you? The owner being the gentleman sitting next to me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what did he tell you?
Then he had 6 drinks and between the hours of 8:30 and 1:30.
Well, he would have gained that knowledge from this receipt.
Yes, but he hadn't looked at anything at that time when he gave me that information. He just told me.
But
He
the
told me.
gentleman is,
Chase.
yeah, no, I know Chase. I'm saying that the patron was obviously a regular there, but you're saying
Yes, sir.
not just the type of drink, but the specificity of the amount of types is what Chase.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Members of the board have questions at this time for Agent Ellis?
Was there only one bartender working that night?
No, ma'am, there are 2.
Okay, so through your investigation, did you find that it was the same bartender serving this patron from the time that he arrived until the time he cashed out?
No, ma'am. There was also other patrons buying Dylan drinks as well.
Okay.
So there were 2 bartenders working, Shannon and Shelby. So they knew, alcohol was coming from 2 different ends.
And can you say more about the other patrons that were buying him drinks?
Yes, they were drinking beers, as well as the owner Chase told me that as well.
So beyond what's reflected here on this receipt and those drinks that you're talking about that were paid in cash?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me clarify that statement. So you're saying there were more drinks that he drank?
Yes,
In
sir.
addition to the cash drinks?
Yes, sir.
Are we
And they
now, as
also,
other people are buying him drinks? Is that-
yes, sir.
Do we know if any of these drinks were given to other people, and not him?
No, they
People are
said that,
buying drinks for each other.
no, they said that he consumed this alcohol that was on this receipt. But also there was another gentleman and
Can I,
one other guy, they were drinking together.
Mr. White.
I don't want to become a problem with objections, but given that we're preserving a record for appeal, I do want to object to the nature of hearsay testimony.
And I understand that objection, Mr. White, but given that the rules of evidence are not strictly applied, that objection is going to be overruled.
Understood.
Agent Ellis, did you finish your answer? I'm sorry.
Is it okay if I say the objection following the comments so I don't interrupt?
That would be preferred, yes. Or you can make your objection before the witness answers too. I just prefer not once the.
Just so long as I don't miss an objection is what I'm getting.
I understand.
Okay.
So at this time, Agent Ellis, I'm gonna allow you to finish the answer to
Okay.
your question.
Yes, there were shots and beers there were shots and beers taken by Dylan. He was I think the guy's name was Tim and Chris. They were purchasing beers and sitting around laughing, enjoying each other, I guess, at the bar. So Dylan was not only drinking by himself, but he did consume these alcohol beverages by himself that are on this receipt. But there was other patrons that were, celebrating, I guess, or, socializing with him. And they were buying him drinks as well. But no, I don't have the receipts for those. But the owner and the bartenders did say and gave me the names of the people that were drinking with him, that were buying him alcohol.
And were you able to speak with those two other patrons that were buying in drinks? Were they able to corroborate that
No, ma'am.
information?
No, ma'am.
Let me go back and confirm. So this incident happened on June the 28th. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
But during your investigation, you say that you're looking for footage on June the 18th, July the 9th, and July the 10th.
Yes.
What was that for?
Just looking up information, what was the receipts and everything that he had, and trying to feedback and see what was wrong with the recorder. Cause he said you could go back 24 hours, but in actuality, you couldn't. You couldn't go back and read and feed anything. So I just put those other specific dates to show that nothing was even being pulled up while we were standing there. I couldn't pull up anything for 24 hours or 12.
Might be able to get that if I can ask
Are
questions.
are there any more questions from the board? Seeing none at this time, I'm going to allow both sides to ask follow-up questions based off the board's questions. Ms. Cousins, do you have any additional questions for Agent Ellis?
Yes, Agent Ellis, June 28th, that date. Was that the day that Dylan passed away?
No, ma'am. The occurrence with the accident?
So. No, he passed away later on.
Yes,
So the day that the accident occurred was June 17th / morning of 18th. Is that correct?
yes.
And then he passed away 10 days later on June 28th. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, that's correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Mr. White, do you have any additional questions for Agent Ellis based on the board's questions?
Yeah, just a couple that said, July 9th and July 10th, you said you requested that video footage for what reason?
I was attempting to try to see what was wrong with the recorder, investigate, because he said that you could at least pull up 24 hours, but you could not pull up anything. No type of video footage was available.
So when you said there were two bartenders, Shannon and Shelby, right?
Yes, sir.
And did you interview those individuals?
Yes. They were there on site.
And you spoke to both of them?
Yes, sir.
These incident numbers, I guess reports, these are based on your interviews, is that accurate?
Yes, that's correct.
Can you point me to Shannon's? I'm not sure how these statements come in, if they have to be, I mean, we've admitted them, but I don't, where the proper places to examine. There's a better procedure I follow.
I don't have a copy. of these.
Yeah, Shannon.
Oh, sorry, one second.
Chase was the
Agent
main.
Ellis, 1 second. please.
Okay.
What statements are we? Are you speaking of the agent's incident narrative?
Oh, no, I'm talking about the actual incident numbers that appear to be, but what I would say is interviews or notes from interviews.
Well, I think you can ask questions of the agent about her own narrative. I think that's fine.
But there's not, this is okay to do it here now.
Yes, sir.
So can you show me or tell me which narrative is Shannon's, please?
I don't have one for you. It's just
There-
Chase. The main document is going for Chase. And then the complaint, I had an anonymous complaint that was given.
So there's no narrative for Shannon.
This, and then once you go to incident number, you see 07359.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then at the bottom it says last updated on 7/18. And then the first sentence is on July 17th at approximately 12 p.m. The bartender Shannon stated,
I guess I'm gonna find, say the number again, please.
it's the same incident number at the top, but the first sentence says on July 17th, 2025 at approximately 12 p.m. The bartender Shannon stated that Dylan was fine and did not appear intoxicated.
Okay, and this is your interview of Dylan's server, right?
Yes, that's when we spoke, yes, sir.
Who is the name of Dylan's server?
It was Shannon.
Okay. And so Shannon said he appeared fine and not intoxicated.
Yes,
And Shannon also stated that, I mean, I guess he's, Dylan was a regular, and he appeared to be fine, and he had some health conditions that caused stumbling or to appear off balance on a regular basis. Is that right?
yes, correct. Several calls.
Okay, so then what about Shelby? We have a stage more. Is Shannon still at the facility or still at Burns?
You have to ask her, sir.
Okay, she here. I don't think, is she still working there? Not like that. But are you aware?
No, I'm not aware.
Okay. And do you have a direct statement for Shelby?
No, sir.
Is in any of your reports Shelby mentioned?
Just that, they were there. The two bartenders that were on duty. When I spoke with Chase, that's when I mentioned both of them.
Okay.
Because that's what he stated.
But we don't really have any specific details about what Shelby said.
No, sir.
Okay. And there was an anonymous complaint. Did you receive that, or is that something that just comes into a central?
No, I received.
And what did, this is where you got the information where they saw Tim and Chris buying alcohol. Right,
Yes,
and according to that complaint, Tim and Chris bought in one beer each.
yes.
Right. So at 2 p.m., he had 3 beers and 1 shot containing 5 different liquors. I'm not sure what that is, but then he began drinking again at Burners at 6.
Yes.
There were some cash purchases, so we don't know how many drinks he had between 6 and 8:30, correct?
There it does say. So in 6 and 6:30, he had 4 beers in the Irish drink. Four beers.
But from 2 until he got off work at 2 and had 3 ultra beers and 1 shot and 5 different liquors. I guess what I'm trying, it says drinking at Burners began at 6 p.m. Does this, the consumption of these 3 ultra beers and shot, is that indicated to have occurred at Burners or before they got at Burners since?
Four.
So they weren't present at Burners for those drinks?
No, sir.
Okay. So at Burners at 6 o'clock is when the drink there started.
Yes, sir.
And we can place. If the drinking started at 6 o'clock and. then
26 and 6:30.
There's 4 beers and 1 Irish drink with 5 different liquors. Is that the same drink with 5 different liquors as mentioned in this anonymous complaint? Or is that 2 different 5 liquor drinks or 1?
The anonymous complaint is something that one person said, and then the information is stated with the information obtained at the bar.
Okay. But we have.
That's why it was 2 different narratives.
Okay. But we have anybody that placed this 5 different liquor drink happening at Bourbon?
That's on the others, that's same from the server.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We have nothing from Shelby. Let's get the receipt, just a second. Okay, I have no other question. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Mr. White. Are there any more questions from members of the board for Agent Ellis? Seeing none. Can this, Ms. Cousins, Mr. White, can this witness be excused?
As far as I'm concerned, no.
Yes.
Thank you, Agent Ellis. You're excused. I understand Ms. Cousins had additional witnesses to the board. Wish to take a break, or do we want to, does the board want to keep moving?
Can't go.
Let's keep going. Just checking in. Ms. Cousins, you may call your next witness.
My next witness is Shelby Clayton.
Ms. Clayton. Has Ms. Clayton been sworn?
She has not.
Ms. Clayton, do me a favor and please stand and raise your right hand. We're going to swear you to testify. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Clayton has been sworn, and Ms. Cousins, you may proceed.
Ms. Clayton, please state your full name for the record.
Shelby Clayton.
And were you a bartender or server at Furnace?
I was a bartender.
Okay. And when did you work there?
I started in November of 2024.
Do you work there now?
No, ma'am.
Were you there on the day of June 17th, 2025?
Yes, I worked day shift.
Did you see Dylan that evening?
Yes, around shift change.
Did you speak with Dylan?
I did.
Was Dylan drinking alcohol when you were speaking with him?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know where he had been beforehand?
Chiba Hut when he just got off work.
Okay. And was Dylan a regular at Furnace?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you did he have any sort of regular patterns that he acted out when he came to Furnace?
He would come in, drink Busch Light, maybe once in a while have a shot of Jack, not to the extent of this particular night, and he would go home.
Did he usually use cash or card to pay?
So it depended if he worked that day. If he worked that day, he made tips, so he would come in and he would spend all of his cash first with his tip money and buy drinks with the cash before he would switch over to credit.
So do you know what time Dylan, what time did you see Dylan?
I saw Dylan about 6 o'clock.
And what was he drinking at the time? Do you remember?
Busch Light.
Do you know what time he arrived there?
Um,
Or you just saw him at 6? So that's this early.
so I got off at 5 and I went with a friend to dinner. And when I came back to drop her off at her car and do the grocery list for the owner, it was about 6 o'clock. He was already there halfway through a game of pool and already had a beer.
And so you worked day shift that day, and then you came back sometime around 6, and he was already drinking. Is it safe to say that that was when he was using his cash tips, since the credit card receipts don't start till 8:30?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you the bartender who printed off these receipts for Agent Ellis when she came?
Yes, ma'am.
You said he was at Chiba Hut beforehand. Was he drinking at Chiba Hut?
Yes, ma'am.
Was he drinking the 4 beers and Irish drink that was described in prior witness testimony at Chiba Hut?
Yes, he had 3 ultras and an Irish carb.
And how do you know that?
I talked to the bartender who worked that day, who is also mutual friends of ours.
And do you know how late Dylan stayed at Verna's that evening?
He posted a picture of him and the bartender on Snapchat around 1:50. So he was still in the facility at past 1:50.
Okay. Do you know if other people were buying alcohol for him?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know about how many people stated they were buying alcohol for him that night?
2 or 3.
And you spoke with these people about them buying alcohol for
Yes.
Dylan? Is there any policy at Verna's on what to do if someone comes in intoxicated or becomes intoxicated?
No, ma'am.
Did you receive any training on serving people, how much to serve people, any bartender training when you began working at Verna's?
No, ma'am.
Did the owner train you in anything at all?
Yes, Chase was there probably the first 2 or 3 days of me starting, through my whole shift, training me on how to cook, how to use the POS system, introducing me to all the regulars, that sort of thing.
But not any training on how many drinks people typically consume or before reaching intoxication, or what to do when someone becomes intoxicated, anything like that? Ms. Clayton, when did you stop working at Verna's?
I left Furnace the day after Dylan's benefit that I put together for his headstone.
And did you stop working at Verna's because there was a disagreement about the situation between you and the owner, and you were upset and did not want to work there anymore?
Yes, ma'am, my integrity and my morals would no longer allow me to work there when he lied to ABC.
I have no further questions for this witness.
Mr. Wyatt, do you have any questions for Ms. Clay?
Yeah, and first I can note an objection to hearsay statements, also the hearsay within the hearsay statements of the mutual friend that was the bartender at Chiba Hut, whatever it was. Yeah, so I note that objection for the record.
I understand, and the objection will be overruled again, since the rules of evidence are not strictly applied in administrative hearings. But you may proceed with questions for Ms. Clayton at this time.
Thank you, sir. Let's have a few for you, Shelley. You said there was no training provided by Barnes. How long have you been a bartender?
I've been a bartender for 15 years.
So it's a profession for you, not a job.
Yes, sir.
So you're aware of how to determine someone's intoxicated,
Yes, sir.
and you're aware of how to handle that if someone is intoxicated.
Yes, sir.
You said Dylan was regular,
Yes, sir.
and when you saw him at 6 o'clock, and you appeared to be intoxicated.
Not at 6 p.m.
At what point you say he appeared to be intoxicated?
I left probably around 6:45, 7.
And so he wasn't intoxicated at 6, but at 6:45, your testimony is that he was.
You could definitely tell he had some drinks. Yes, sir.
And what time did you leave that evening?
About 6:45.
So you yourself are unaware of how many drinks he had past 6:45.
Yes, sir.
Said you left the employment of Burners. Is that because of this incident, or were there other disagreements between you and?
It was because of this incident in particular. A week before the accident, me and Chase were talking about giving me a salary and him stepping away from the bar to acquire a tow truck business. So everything was on good terms until this accident happened.
And there's any record of this number of cash drinks? You said 2 to 3 people were buying drinks, right?
Yes, sir.
Is there any record of, or do you have any personal knowledge of how many were purchased?
I do not.
Said that, Dylan would once in a while have a shot, but nothing close to that night. Was that night some particularly special evening for Dylan?
It wasn't a celebration or anything of that sort. There was a little bit of a younger crowd in that night. And usually it's an older crowd, and I think everyone was just having a good time, playing pool, listening to the jukebox.
I understand. During the night of the incident, was it the June 18th? Did you talk to Dylan at any time past 6:45 PM?
I believe he sent me a text message at one point. Just kind of honestly just talking crap about someone who was there. Just like, oh, you won't believe this guy, or I mean, it wasn't anything serious.
How well ahead did you know Dylan?
I moved to Arkansas about a month before I started Tavernas, and Dylan was really my only friend in the state.
So is that?
So pretty close. No, we became really close over a span of 9 months. He went out with me and my kids. We had a little group that would go out and do bowling and dinner and stuff of that sort.
Was there any indication, or do you know if Dylan took any other legal or illegal substances that day?
I did not know until further.
So you, on the 18th, you're saying June 18th, you weren't that close here.
On June 18th, it was I'm sorry.
Close friend.
Yeah,
So during your friendship, was Dylan known to take or use drugs or abuse legal drugs?
so on May 16th of 2025, we celebrated his 5-year sobriety off of hard drugs. So I did not know of Dylan doing anything illegal like that.
That's all you're, sorry, that's all. About to say, Your Honor.
Do members of the board have any questions for Ms. Clayton at this time?
Ms. Clayton, you had made a statement earlier that you believe Chase lied to the ABC.
Yes, sir.
What do you think that lie was, or what do you believe he lied about?
About what time he got there, how much he drank. The bartender Shannon stated she fed him grilled cheese, gave him water. The people who were there said he never ate. It's not on the tab. And it was just, you could tell the dishonesty there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How many years or months had you worked at Furnace
I was there for 9 months.
total?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and during that time, were there any stated or published processes or protocols on how to identify or deal with intoxicated patrons?
No, ma'am. I had a conversation several times with Chase and Chick, his father, about the new bartenders coming in who are untrained and over serving people and how it was going to lead to a tragic accident.
Were there any stated or published processes or procedures on how bartenders should maintain public safety or public welfare in general?
Unfortunately not. There's a lot of times I paid out of my own pocket for Ubers for people, and giving them water and stuff like that, just based off of my knowledge, but nothing that was implied by the establishment.
Questions for the board, from the board at this time?
For staff, are we going to hear from any of the other board members?
That the questions need to be directed at the witness at this time. So are there any questions for Ms. Clayton from board members?
I don't have any at this time.
Ms. Cousins, do you have any follow-up questions based on the board's questions for Ms. Clayton?
I do not.
Mr. White, do you have any questions for Ms. Clayton based on the board's questions?
No, sir.
Maybe, may this witness be excused?
Yes.
Mr. White? Thank you, Ms. Clayton. You may be excused.
Thank you for your time.
Ms. Cousins, you can call your next witness unless the board wants to break. Let's keep going.
This will be the last.
Good, Mike, let's ask for a restroom break.
Okay. Let's take 5 minutes. Okay, so we're gonna be off the record at 10:20. It appears that everyone is back. If we want to get started again, I'll wait for once the court report's ready. All right. We're back on the record. It is 10:27. Ms. Cousins, you may call your next witness.
Anita Goodson.
Sorry, what was the last name?
Goodson.
And the record will reflect that Ms. Goodson has previously been sworn on this matter, and Ms. Cousins, you may proceed.
Ms. Goodson, can you state your full name for the record, please?
Anita Goodson.
And how are you in relation to Dylan Rogers in this case?
He is my nephew, but we also raised him from the age of 9. Child, that's right.
And Dylan was in a car accident early the morning of June 18th, 2025. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know what time this accident occurred?
I think the accident itself was around between 2 and 2:30. They did not come to our door until 3:45, but it's been quite a while.
And was Dylan ejected from the vehicle?
Yes,
How many days was Dylan in the hospital before he passed away?
10 days. See,
And was he in a coma that entire 10 days?
yes, ma'am.
When he arrived at the hospital, was a talk screen done on Dylan?
Yes, ma'am.
And were there substances in his blood,
Yes,
alcohol and other things?
yes.
And did you receive an exact blood alcohol content measurement from the hospital records?
I did when we went and got the records. They probably told me at the time, but
And what was his BAC at the time? Is this the record?
it's on the yes. ma'am.
Is this the record that they gave you?
Yes,
Okay, it'll be the first page in that state's exhibit. Does that,
I know that it was 4 times. I've been told it was 4 times what the legal limit is.
okay, and what, can you tell me what exactly the BAC was according to that report?
0.307.
Right. And then if you look a little further down, there is a kind of range of BAC. Do you see that? Under factors as previous alcohol use, the next line. And what does that say? The ranges. Just those numbers. What is the range for a BAC that he was in? So there's underneath the BAC measurement.
Mhm.
The next paragraph, comment refers to patients.
This, it means nothing to me, but yes. go ahead.
Okay, so underneath the BAC, there's some comments. It says comment refers to patients not habituated to alcohol, physical response to alcohol can be violent. You see that?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
what is that range of alcohol BAC that Dylan was in?
Oh, okay.
What is that
Point-
range?
0.301 to 0.400.
Okay, and what does it say typically that would lead to?
Deep coma, possibly fatal.
And what did the hospital tell you was the eventual cause of death for Dylan?
The death certificate said multi-organ failure due to traumatic brain injury, due to a skull fracture, due to a vehicle motor accident.
Thank you. I have no further questions for this witness.
Mr. Watt.
Yes, ma'am. How old was Dylan?
How old was Dylan?
Yes, ma'am.
28.
What you say, 28?
Yes, sir.
And Dylan suffered from cerebral palsy, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did he have any other health conditions?
Not anything significant, no.
You've been asked some questions about this. Looks like page 306 of Dylan's medical records. Are you a medical professional anyway?
No, not at all.
I'm sorry, I'm asking some questions I know the answers to, but did you produce this document? Did you yourself produce this document that you're talking about today?
No, sir, I got it from Baptist Hospital and sent it in electronic form to through Cousins.
Did anyone at the hospital discuss with you how alcohol absorption is different following an accident with death than live absorption?
Not necessarily, no.
Um, Did you know Dylan to be someone who drank?
I did know that he had a drinking problem. Sadly, about a year and a half before this, he stopped drinking completely for about 6 weeks. And unfortunately, at his age, he couldn't find a lot of friends to hang out with that didn't do that. So he ended up getting back into it.
Did he attend AA or any type of
He
treatment?
did for a short time.
Fair to say, the people at the bar, those were his drinking buddies. You know any of them?
I did not before. I met a couple of them hospital friends.
So you're not from. Are you local? Are you?
Yes, yes, I live in the area.
Dylan had any other alcohol related accidents or?
He has had. It's hard to say what the cause of them were. He's had many accidents because of the cerebral palsy. He could drive, he wasn't, and he had a very bad ADD. He was not a great driver. And he had several, once offender vendors and things.
One of the narratives was noted that Dylan was ejected from the vehicle. Did you know Dylan to wear a seatbelt?
He he did at times. I don't know how often he did. His mother would tell you he wore it his birth mother would tell you he wore it all the time. I don't know if that was probably necessarily true, obviously.
There's a S10 pickup. Do you know what year it was?
We're not sure.
Okay.
Probably about 10 or 12 years old.
Okay. That's all the question I have, man.
Any questions from the board members for this witness? Seeing and hearing none, Mr. Whiteman, Cousins, may this witness be excused?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Goodson, thank you. Ms. Cousins, do you have any more witnesses at this time?
I do not arrest.
Mr. White, do you have any witnesses you wish to present to the board?
I have the honor, Chase. You want me to testify from here?
You can testify from there to make sure his mic is on and the record will reflect. And I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I pronounce his last name correctly. How do you pronounce your last name?
Furrier.
Mr. Furrier. Mr. Furrier has previously been sworn in this matter. And Mr. White, you may proceed with your questions at this time.
Thank you, sir. Chase, you've heard the testimony here today, have you not? Yes. Yeah. Is anything about the testimony today, if you pause for concern? Few things, yes. Okay. What would you like to tell the board about the concerns that you have?
Shelby's testimony that I was dishonest in any fashion utterly floors me. Is one that just keeps riding with me. And matter of fact, her her drinking and dishonesty is the reason why she was let go. Now, I got a sneaky suspicion that she was planning on leaving anyway, because she was upset about Dylan naturally. They were close. Everybody really liked him. He was in there a lot of time. But uh, she'd been doing some other things that weren't real, real kosher. And at one point, we do have like a server awareness form, you know, that everybody has to sign to, and we go through that. I don't have any official written policy. We have lots of conversations with the people that I hire about how to handle this kind of stuff. I try to hire those that already know, makes life easier. We did have our phone a couple of times where we had new trainees, and it was actually Shelby's position at the time, since she was the one with all the experience, to facilitate on what I couldn't, because I'm not an experienced bartender. I'm a businessman. I've stood behind the bar and I've served beer and served drinks, but nobody can call me a good bartender by any stretch of the imagination. The night that Dylan had his accident, I was not there. I know Miss Agent Latrice, she testified about the camera footage. I spent way too much money on this company called Zozy. It was supposed to record, and it never ever worked properly. I no longer have those cameras. I wish I'd had them, because then we would have been able to see something of that evening. Even down to Shelby is not the bartender that printed off the receipt that went to Miss Latrice. I had to email it to her because my POS system doesn't allow to print from the backside of the system on how it works. Which I managed to show it to her, and she had testified that I already knew what was on it, and I did, is because I looked it up the moment I heard Dylan had an accident to see if he had been overserved. And my thought process on it was, we knew he was a regular and he drank Busch Light and Jack Daniels. I think what did it show for? Here. Four Busch Lights and two Jack Daniels, which I truly believe were Dylan's. The Crown Apple, I'm confident he had bought for a lady that he was hanging out with. So in that respect, 6 drinks in 5.5 hours didn't seem unreasonable to me. I'm sure that at some point, I don't drink much these days, but I'm sure at some point I have done every bit of 6 drinks in 5.5 hours. So when I saw that his blood alcohol level was what it was, that's a surprise to me. Of course, it's hard to, being that intoxicated, you would think that somebody would be unconscious, unless there were other factors. And I've had several people, one of them being one of his, who he called uncle. I'm not sure that they were blood related, very close. Has told me that he was real disappointed that he had cocaine in his system, which I'm not a doctor, never done it, but my understanding is that can mitigate some effects of alcohol. Obviously, the cerebral palsy, he did walk really hard. He had good days and bad days where he walked. We saw him enough that you could tell when he was having a little better day, but even on a good day, he walked extremely difficult. So being able to tell that he was intoxicated is impossible in that sense, minus, something egregious, which again, I wasn't there for, so I don't have anything to say about it in that respect. But the bartender that was on duty that night, Shannon, said that he didn't appear to be overly intoxicated. And she was, I know there was testimony about him getting a grilled cheese. And it was a conversation with Shannon I had a lot because she loved to cook everybody grilled cheeses and then not ring it up. That was always a point of contention about that, but at the same time, it's slices of bread and or slice of cheese, so everybody cares. They always got better tips and that kind of thing. And our place is really small. It's probably the size of this room. I mean, our patio's larger than the restaurant space is. So you get to know everybody really well, really quick. And again, you can't, any which way you shake it, it was tragic. Dylan was young, everybody liked Dylan. Nobody, it's just absolutely awful. But there was nothing that we could have done to prevent him from taking other substances and then drinking what he did. We can't tell before he gets there. And then driving home and playing on his phone, not wearing a seatbelt and having a nasty car accident. I own a towing company as well, and I've been doing that for 15 years. And I see that all the time, little bitty stuff. And next thing you know, car's upside down or crushed or whatever else the scenario is. But I don't think the responsibility falls on us. It was, and we did our jobs. I believe that Shannon was doing Shannon. Shannon was an experienced bartender as well. But I don't think that she would have done anything different, given the information that she was getting real-time input with him being in front of her.
Are you aware of whether or not Shannon was personal friends with Dylan?
I believe they were, I don't know what degree, but I think everybody would have said yes to that.
Did Shannon ever tell you during this night that you're intoxicated? Okay. Are you aware that Shannon stated that Dylan was making a TikTok video while he was driving from your establishment, and that his telephone was recording during the crash as he was singing and driving?
I remember hearing that. I don't remember where I heard it from.
Would it surprise you to hear that that was Shannon's statement to Officer Ellis? No. You did discuss a little bit about Shelby left. She said it was because of this incident. You said there were other factors, other appointment factors, right?
Mhm.
And you recently talked to her about being put on a salary prior to this incident.
We discussed as I was trying to acquire another company that not put her on a salary, but give her a bonus to do some certain small items like handling the shift and beer orders and those kinds of things. Nothing very major.
After having heard all the testimony, do you have anything else you want to say or?
Other than I think the majority of this is being pushed by Shelby because she's upset naturally. They were friends. I think she needed a place to place her anger and she put it in me, but she also was part of the problem. I've seen her drink behind the bar. I've seen her overserve, and those were all parts of the calculation. Why she is no longer with us. And the day I kind of hurt, she tried to quit, and then we had a conversation about it. And then she didn't. And then within less than a week's time, I thought, well, you know what, that was probably a better idea. So I waited till after Dylan's benefit that we were holding for him. And then the next day, her and I, after I had a conversation with my dad, who's my business partner, her and I stepped on the patio and had the conversation where I was trying to be nice, and I just said, I think we do need to go ahead and part ways. Where she then stood up and threw a fit, and to the point where I had to kick her off the property.
This was following her employment,
I'm sorry,
following her employment?
at the end of it.
Okay. And, I think you had mentioned, or I heard it mentioned that, there had been an incident where, you and I were talking, you said there had been an incident where Dylan had been, I guess, popular phrase, cut off or.
Oh, yes.
Sir, can you tell more about that, please?
There was another bartender, her name was January, who had cut Dylan off at one point. This is, I don't know what time span beforehand. And Dylan phoned Shelby to, I guess, tell her his displeasure by being cut off. And then Shelby turned around and called the bartender and chewed the bartender out for cutting him off. And that news was relayed to my dad, I guess, the very next morning. Because the bartender was asking how to handle that situation, because she was viewing Shelby as a not a manager, but a superior. And we had to tell her that, you know, that revert back to when we only have one person on shift at a time. The place is so small. So when they are there, they're their own responsibility, which is why we do have lengthy talks about how to handle all kinds of situations, because everybody doesn't always, other than a phone call, they don't always have some immediate person to side with them or help them.
Anything else? I'll pass.
Ms. Cousins, do you have questions for this witness?
No, sir.
Do members of the board have questions for this witness?
So was this your first violation for furnishing alcohol beverages to an intoxicated person?
Yes, the first violation we've ever had.
And then what are your procedures? Like, what do you instruct your bartenders? How do you instruct them in terms of identifying and dealing with intoxicated patrons?
The usually go through scenarios, but we start seeing somebody that's getting or drinking too fast, or the one that we've got a regular that comes in the morning, if you would let him, he would take down 6 beers in 30 minutes. So we know to watch the speed that they're going out to keep it slow. So we're instructed on doing that and watching for that. Somebody walks in visibly intoxicated, we don't serve them at all. We've had the scenario before where an intoxicated person pops up in an Uber, and so I don't have a readily immediate way to leave, so we'll sit them at the bar and we'll coax them into ordering a cheeseburger and some fries and give them some water and let them sit there for a while and sober up, and then consider serving them a drink after the fact. It's all based around, what you can see, because we're not breathalyzing anybody, so we don't know what somebody's consumed. We try not to let people go in and out, so we don't, because that tends to happen in places before where they'll drink beer inside and they'll go outside and do a shot in the car because that's cheaper. Well, for obvious reasons, it's a terrible idea, so we don't let them do the in and out business. If they want to smoke a cigarette or smoke a joint, so you don't, one of the last places I guess you can smoke inside, so you don't have to go anywhere for that. We have a large back patio on here, so we don't let them any of that. But they all know that they have my full backing to cut somebody off, because I'll hear about it. Most of these guys have my cell phone number. I'll get a text message, a phone call. Matter of fact, if you call the bar and it rings too long, it'll bring it to my cell phone. So they'll eventually call me and I'll get a lecture about how somebody was rude to them because they got shut off. Well, you know. They're when they're there, they're in charge. You know, if they feel like you need to be cut off, then you need to be cut off. If they feel like you need to not come back, we have a whole list that I publish on the wall with about 25, 30 names on it of people that aren't allowed in there at all because they can't behave themselves. In that fashion. All of them know that I have their back 100% if they need to do any of that, so they shouldn't have any fear of it. I currently have a newer staff who are all very experienced. So we're not having, and they're all real, I don't know how to word it, real quick to tell somebody to take a hike if they're gonna, step out of line in any direction.
Any other questions?
This incident happened a year ago. Since then, have you published any internal documents, any internal training, or done any documented training that you could share with us today in the last year?
I don't have any kind of anything documented. We've stepped up on how we do our do meetings and go over things, and there's a like a group chat with all of us that we're constantly talking in and filling. It's more in the chat than that, but I don't have anything to got on paper.
Thank you.
Do you have any verbal policies in place for when someone appears too drunk to drive? Or attempting to drive from?
Yes, I'd rather get in trouble for snatching their keys.
So did anyone believe that Dylan was too impaired to drive that night?
I don't believe so.
Understand that he was not there.
Right.
Any more questions from members of the board for this witness? Seeing and hearing none, Mr. White, do you have any follow-up questions based off what the board asked? Ms. Cousins, do you have any questions?
No.
This witness be excused. I know he's.
Has to be here.
Yes.
I don't intend to call it back.
Thank you. Mr. White, do you have any more witnesses?
I don't,
Do you rest at this time?
I do.
All right, so at this time, both sides have the opportunity to make closing statements to the board before the board goes into deliberation. So I will allow Ms. Cousins to go first if you wish to make a closing statement.
I do. Board, you've heard a lot of testimony today about a patron at a local establishment having too much to drink, being allowed to drive on our public roads, and then unfortunately getting himself into an accident. Fortunately, no one else was involved. However, it is very unfortunate that this patron did pass away. Dylan was a regular at this establishment. They all knew him. They knew what his drink order was. They knew about his health issues. And he was at this establishment for around 8 hours. He was drinking alcohol the entire time. So no matter what was in his system, besides that alcohol they served him, no matter how wobbly he walked, serving someone to the point of a 0.307 BAC should clearly tell them that they have served him too much. I believe this clearly is a violation of state law, that they did serve an intoxicated person. This is nearly 4 times the legal limit of intoxication. We've heard testimony that this limit, this BAC limit in this range that he was in could lead to severe risk of coma and death. And that is on medical records provided by his aunt, who was given these after his death, that came from Baptist Hospital. After his blood was tested, after he arrived at the hospital. He began drinking that day after getting off of work, at his work. He then came to Verna's, where he began paying cash for we don't know how many drinks. We know that he was at least drinking a beer when Shelby Clayton saw him around 6 p.m. He continued drinking, buying himself drinks with cash and card. Also, we've heard testimony that other people have stated they bought him beers that night. Until he cashed out at 1:51 a.m. We know that his accident occurred somewhere between 2 a.m. and 2:35 on his way home. Police arrived on the scene at 2:35. A bystander saw that this car had been in an accident and called the police. So sometime between 2 and 2:30, this accident occurred. Anything besides his BAC should really be considered just a distraction here. He was served to the point where we have testimony from the owner stating that a bartender had to cut him off at one point. So he either was visibly intoxicated or bartender was keeping count of the amount of drinks and knew he had been served too much. This is a tragic event. Not only did it put Dylan at risk of injury, which did occur, it also put other Arkansans at risk of injury due to Dylan's drinking and driving. I would ask that you do find these two violations, failure to be a good neighbor and serving an intoxicated person, to be true today.
Why you respect public faith. Seriously. Everything besides the BAC is not superfluous and it's not a distraction. We had testimony and evidence being a hearsay document that page 1 of 5, we don't know what the other 4 pages are. We don't have proper foundation on the document. The only testimony we have regarding the effect of a BAC like that is a comment listed in the medical records. We don't know that this is the best evidence record to use. We don't know if this is a business record exception to hearsay. It is what it is. It's a piece of paper. Unfortunately, if the rules of evidence are relaxed, doesn't really. It's here if there's weight, but does not indicate specifically where those drinks were consumed, or if he drank or consumed enough drinks at Verna's to reach this BAC. What can be proven, hardcore evidence proven, is that there were 6 drinks consumed by Dylan in approximately 6 hours. We have hearsay testimony that there were other people buying him drinks and buying beers, but we don't have that before us. We don't have the people here cross-examine. We just have, I heard that somebody told me type of evidence. This incident that we talked about, the previous event where he was cut off, was not that day. It was a separate event. In my mind, if there was a separate event where a regular, the same individual had to be cut off at another incident of drinking, then it shows to me that people that knew him clearly knew when he was intoxicated and clearly knew when he was not. That he was not cut off during this incident, but he was cut off previously. testimony says that when he was cut off, the person who's described as a bartender communicated with the other bartenders and essentially lashed out and said he continued to serve him, and that bartender was reprimanded. I don't approve of what happened here, and I'm sorry that this is how the incident came about, but it's not an establishment's duty to make sure you had 3 drinks before you got here, you had 2 drinks when you went outside. It's whether or not they served a visibly and noticeably intoxicated person, and that's not the case here. So obviously he passed, and that's unfortunate, but I don't see the liability being placed on Vernon. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. White. So at this point, both sides have had the opportunity to present witnesses, evidence, and make arguments to the board. Before the board goes into deliberation, does any members of the board have questions for either counsel?
I have a question regarding the penalty for each of these. So with the a first violation carries a penalty of a monetary fine. But and for this being a class A violation, what are the penalties?
So for class A violations of ABC rules, it is $500 to $1,000 is the monetary fine allowed, given that this is the first in 12 months.
And there's no suspension or?
Yes, any violation of ABC rules can result in probation, suspension, or revocation.
What, Drew, with the director's decision, what did she, recommend as far as fines and suspension, revocation, et cetera?
After Director Bjornson reviewed the director's hearing, she ruled that Verdes would have a $2,000 fine, a 1-month suspension, and 90 days probation following the suspension. So that should be considered today, whether to uphold that or modify it or overrule.
And then will you, similarly, will you explain what the director's decision was on the second violation, failure to be a good neighbor?
That was for the both.
Oh, it's combined.
Yes, it was combined. So it was 1,000 per both.
Any more questions from the board for either counsel?
No, so at this point, we either need to make a motion to uphold the director's decision or we make a motion to modify the director's decision. And just as a reminder to the board, we can choose to go down in violations, but we can also go up if someone wanted to do more than that. And that is the risk of someone coming forth in front of the board as a permit holder. Is it's not necessarily that we have to go it can go either direction. But with all that being said, if we don't have any other questions, do any board members have a motion they'd like to present at this time?
I don't have a motion yet. I just kind of want to discuss. I may be
Okay.
in the minority here.
Yeah.
Okay. I just don't believe that the evidence establishes the responsibility on the part of the restaurant. I believe the cerebral palsy makes this not a very straightforward case. And that if the visible signs of intoxication that the state relies upon are the same signs that the bartender regularly observes. Because of his disability, I would want really strong evidence that he was exhibiting something beyond his baseline condition before concluding that they knowingly served alcohol to him. And then on the part of the good neighbor, I mean, you can't control every decision an individual makes. And I believe the bar acted reasonably with given the evidence, but it's my opinion. I'm not fully decided on the motion yet.
Sure.
May I, Hannah? Because I hear what you're saying about the cerebral palsy, and I thought about that too. But then when they provide the testimony that the bar is about the size of this room, that he's a regular, that they see him often. To me, it felt like they had established a baseline to what his typical mannerisms are like, and they would be able to kind of differentiate between whether he was at what level of sober versus intoxication. I just feel like the BAC is so incredibly high, and regardless of whether that was all alcohol or if it was supplemented by other substances, how does someone have a blood alcohol content that is that high and a bartender lets them, or an establishment, the license holder lets them leave the premises in a vehicle like that? They could have, I mean, a lot of people could have died.
That's where it's just not clear to me. I haven't heard what signs of intoxication would have been present. We just haven't heard directly from that bartender. I mean, we have the witness statement. It's just not clear to me. I agree with the concerns that you raised.
Yeah, I do feel the, what I kept writing down here is contributing factors, right? So there's a bunch of them here: alcohol, cocaine, no seatbelt, cerebral palsy. The type of vehicle is in, those S10s are really unsafe vehicles, I think, and so visibility outside, it's night, he's texting and driving, so there's a lot of variabilities or contributing factors. To me, I just don't see how with a BAC that high, I mean, you don't even see BAC that high depicted in movies. I mean, it is the highest I think I've ever been involved in anything, hearing a blood alcohol content that high. It doesn't even, you don't even hear of that. And so to me, I'm with Susan. I think is the number one or two contributing factor. And so I think this is a privilege license, and I'll be honest with you, when I hear the fines or the penalties and fines, it to me is very light. And so I would say, and there's been no change in my mind on the operator. So since this happened, there's been no real additional training, no like, hey guys, we're gonna have to really get serious about this, and let's bring in an outside company to train. Let's put here's our new operating procedures. Here's how we operate. This is how we train. Here's the documentation our people sign now. There was none of that. So I don't even know that they took this seriously enough to continue operating. And this would be one I would actually say I would go for a stricter fine. So I would vote to uphold it. And I think that is more than fair.
And Mr. Chairman, if I can just interject, this is Cameron Coker. I want to make sure that the record is clear on the vote. My suggestion would be that the board consider a motion as to whether the violations as presented were proven beyond, or not by a preponderance of the evidence, so more likely or not. And then if need be, the board can advance to another motion as to what the penalty would be for each specific violation. I think the board, we can discuss that when we get there, but my first suggestion, if we get there, my first suggestion to the board would be a motion to find whether the violations as charged were proven true or false by a preponderance of the evidence. And I have those violations here if the board needs those specific ones.
For the matter of record, do you want those violations, like the actual violation numbers listed in that? And then normally on something like this, we would, have part of it to, affirm the director's decision on her findings, or if we're doing it this way, do we need to include that in either one of the said motions?
As far as the statute numbers and the rule numbers, we can include those. If the board wishes, they can include that in their motion as well. It's all about just creating as clear a record as possible. So if the board, does the board have access to those?
It should be on their agenda.
Okay. Yes, I see. So it's on the agenda. If the board wants to operate from that and entertaining a motion, whether these violations were proven true or false by preponderance of the evidence. I think that's the first motion the board should consider. It's up to the board ultimately, but that's how I would suggest it be done. And then at that point, if we need to move on to a separate vote as to what the penalty be, whether that is to affirm the director's decision, modify, or otherwise, we can address that when we get to that point.
So, fellow board members, do we have someone that would like to make a motion on whether or not to, we find that these violations and list the violations off of, enough evidence has been presented to us to support that these are found accusations?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that I believe based on the preponderance, so I would like to make a motion to uphold both violations based upon the preponderance of the evidence.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The record will reflect that decision was unanimous. The next motion the board would need to consider would be the penalty to be imposed. As stated earlier by council, the penalty the director imposed was a $2,000 fine that covered both Class A violations, along with a 1 month suspension of permit and 9 days probation following that suspension. So the board can uphold that penalty. They can modify or otherwise. My suggestion would be that we state that the motion that the board presents states what the penalty for each violation is individually. And if that can, that would help the record and make clear what the board's intentions are.
We're gonna need to know what that penalty is for each violation. She doesn't have that listed here, so you wanna tell us what it is for each?
Considering it was 2,000 and the max for each of those is 1,000 per violation. It was $1,000 for one and $1,000 for two. The suspension and probation can be applied to either violation and not the other. It will work out the same.
And again, that's just my suggestion, how the board frames it, motion.
Any thoughts?
I guess I'll start with, I could put a motion together and then anyone can feel free to amend as we see fit. At this time, I'd like to make a motion that on or about June 17th, 2025, Verna's establishment at 7820 Stagecoach Road did serve an intoxicated person in violation of ACA 3-4-403-17 and ACA 3-9-236 and 3 cars 3-401-48, a Class A violation that I believe that we should have a penalty of the maximum fine of $1,000 and a 1 month suspension of the operator's license. And then I would also like to include in that motion that on or about June 17th, 2025, the violation number 3-3-218 and 3 cars 1-90132 failure to be a good neighbor was also found to be enough evidence was there that we should have a maximum fine of $1,000 as well as a I'm gonna say a 6-month probationary period for this establishment. And anyone feel free to modify those penalties, but at least we got it in this motion with all the violation numbers.
That motion we need a second before discussion.
I'll second discussion.
Okay. Do we want to move for any type of mandatory training? We want to put that in there, some type of mandatory, maybe even by a third party, do we do that?
The alternative sanctions by the APA. The APA does allow for alternative sanctions, so this training would be in following that procedure for in the Administrative Procedures Act.
I think we've got to have mandatory third party training. It's- That doesn't make sense since this incident.
Katie, does the state provide training to license holders? Are there resources that we provide?
Think about bar safe.
We don't do any training of individuals. There are multiple companies that do these trainings. They contact us to be put on our website, so there are some that are put on there. We don't like validate them. That's just something that we do as a resource to permit holders to have available, but those are not something that we have gone through and approved every single one that is, 100% accurate to alcohol law in Arkansas, because every state is generally different, but there are those resources out there. They're just not through Arkansas ABC.
But could we make a motion that says they have to do it to the satisfactory of the ABC? They have to have administer third party training to the satisfactory of the ABC.
I think that would be fine as long as they would provide certification from one of the approved.
They're gonna provide whatever you tell them.
Yes. we can do that.
We'll just pick
Satisfactory.
one.
Till you're satisfied. They're gonna
Sure.
provide it, yeah. What do you think about that?
I like it.
Is there any other, are there any other comments on the proposed motion that we'd like to add in an amendment?
I mean. That's what it is currently. The motion is a month of suspension, 6 months of probation. We would add on there mandatory third party training.
You'd add it to the first violation.
Yeah.
You could add it to either one.
I think
Who is this training for too, so we can specifically have that in
I
order?
think it should be for the owners and the bartenders and anybody serving. Okay,
And I think the motion will need to be
Amended.
restated, can be withdrawn and then restated.
Can I, to cut down on having to read all those violations, could I just make a motion to amend my current motion to include a requirement that the permit holder and anyone that is either a bartender or server would be required to do an ABC approved training within the probationary period of 6 months that's already been previously stated in this motion.
I think the board has already found the violations to be true in the previous vote. So at this, I think just restating the motion without the violation numbers, and we can, if the board wishes, they can restate the motion as to count one, the penalty shall be this, and as to count two, the penalty shall be this. I think that would be appropriate and clear enough for the record, since the board has already found the violations to be true in its previous vote.
Alex, let's include owners along with servers and bartenders.
Okay. Mr. Court Reporter, court officer, do we need to make a motion to poll, or do I just withdraw since it hasn't been voted on my current motion?
You can withdraw the motion without a vote and then restate and then propose a new motion.
Okay, I'd like to withdraw my current motion and I'd like to present a new motion at this time. At this time, I'd like to make a motion on count one in regards to furnishing alcohol to an intoxicated person. I would like to have present a violation of, or a fine of the maximum of $1,000 and 1 month's suspension of the license at Verna's. And I would also look to add a requirement that within 6 months of this hearing today, that the permit holder, Chase Fur, as well as any bartenders or servers are required to complete a ABC approved training program. And then I would also like to state for violation number 2, failure to be a good neighbor, a Class A violation, that we have the maximum fine of $1,000 as well as a 6-month probationary period for this establishment.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you all for your time here today. Do we have any other updates in the ABC at this time?
Just 1 second, Mr. Chairman, I do have to state for the record that the record will reflect that the findings of the board as to both whether the violations were committed as well as the penalty to be imposed was unanimous. Those findings will be reduced to writing and service will be made upon all parties, including the respondent. And if the respondent cares to appeal this decision, an appeal can be taken under the Administrative Procedure Act. That can be filed in Pulaski County, the county where you reside, or the county in which you do business. Are there any other comments or questions from the respondent before we go off the record?
With regard to the appeal, we earlier admitted
Yes,
5 exhibits. How are those denoted for the appellate purpose with record?
I'm sorry.
Are these going to be admitted as petitioner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? How are they?
So they were admitted all collectively as ABC exhibit packet number 1, that are marked that on the front, and the
Each tab will be
each tab, each page number, however you want to refer to it, the whole exhibit packet will be in the record and will be part of the record. If there is an appeal, that will be filed with the certain court as required under the APA.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other questions or comments, the hearing is concluded and the record is now closed. It's 11:25 a.m.
We just have a quick ABC administrative update, and then we'll go over board dates to make sure those for the future. There you go, but there's our PowerPoint. real quick. So we had ABC seminar on June 5th. We had a total of 72 attendees. Our next one is scheduled for July 10th. The breakdowns that we had for the month of May was 117 offers were accepted, covering a total of 348 violations and 38 warnings. Our agents have been very busy. We offered fines in the amount of.
I think y'all are on mute unless, Stacy, can you hear them?
I can hear.
Okay.
Yeah, let's sit down. It's not a meeting.
Okay.
So the
Alex, can you hear us now? Or
I
Stacy,
can hear.
Hear us?
Yes.
Okay, Stacy can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear now. My speaker turned off somehow. Sorry.
Okay. The offered fines for this month was a total of 89,575. We have 1 director's hearing scheduled for the upcoming month, and since our last board hearing, we've had a total of 0 director's hearings. In medical marijuana, we've had 17 offers accepted, covering 53 different violations and a total of 6 warnings. The offered fines for that was a total of 27,000. There was one director hearing that was scheduled, coming up in the next month, and we had 0 board hearings in the month of May. I'm sorry, director's hearings. And for our next, board dates, we are currently scheduled out through September. Our next one is July 15th of 2026. Is that good for everyone still?
Yes.
Yes.
Our August date is on the calendar for August 19th, 2026. Does that still work?
Yes.
Yes.
And September 23rd of 2026. Does that still work? Do we want to go ahead and look at the October calendar? It will be the 21st, if that works for y'all. That's the third Wednesday of the month.
Looks good to me.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get the board rooms scheduled. We did have a change of board rooms this month. I appreciate everyone working with us and being flexible. It was something else scheduled in our normal boardroom. But next month for July, we should be back at 1509 in our regular room. So I think with that, we have everything covered.
Awesome. Thank you all. Sorry I wasn't down there today, but everyone have a good rest of their June.
Thanks,
Right.
Allison.
Thanks.
Thank you.